They are three little numbers that have saved countless lives. But when seconds count, we found the 911 system doesn't always work as it should.
So what's the problem that could keep you from getting help when you need it the most? And why hasn't it been fixed? Jordan Burgess is digging deeper with what you should know in case you ever have to dial 911.
A three-toned cry for help.
Okay, what exactly is going on?
Made from the trunk of a car.
We were numb. Didn't know. We was in shock.
Victoria Eilerman's cell phone call got to 911 dispatchers, but held captive in the trunk. The 84-year-old didn't know where she was, and dispatchers didn't either.
At that time, I thought I was crazy. Why couldn't you locate her? Why couldn't you locate her?
7 years have passed since the abduction and killing of Phil Eilerman's mother, Victoria. They've included his trip to the Ohio State House to push for better location accuracy on mobile phone 911 calls. But the problem persists.
Could something like that still happen today?
It could happen.
Do you know how old she is?
Nearly 1,000 911 calls a day come in here to the Montgomery County Regional Dispatch Center. Of those, 80% are from cell phones. But we discovered 40% of the time, they don't know where those cell phone calls are coming from.
It's only when everything goes almost perfect with the carrier that we are able to get some sort of estimated location.
That's why when you call 911, a dispatcher's first question is no longer, what's your emergency?
911, what's the address of your emergency?
But where's your emergency?
The first thing that our call takers are going to ask is, what's the address of your emergency? They're going to verify that to make sure they got it right, because people in crisis, may give the wrong address or oftentimes are just difficult to understand.
So why don't 911 dispatchers know where you're calling from on a mobile phone?
Who's to blame for that?
I don't know that anybody is to blame, or if there is just one source.
To get to the bottom of why it's so difficult to locate a 911 caller on a mobile phone, you have to look at how cell phone use has changed over the years. In the past, most 911 calls from inside buildings were made using landlines. So the standards for cell phone 911 calls dealt more with pinpointing outside locations. But as more people have ditched their landlines for cell phones, the rules haven't kept pace. Right now, cell phone carriers are not held to a standard on the accuracy of 911 calls from inside buildings.
And when it comes to calls made outside, 90% of them are supposed to be pinpointed within 300 meters. That's the length of about 3 football fields.
Put that 3 football field radius inside a city block like this, and it can be tough for first responders to find you.
How do we get there to where, this data is available?
A lot of it is legislative.
I contacted the Federal Communications Commission. It has proposed rules to force cell phone carriers to provide more accurate locations on inside 911 calls. But I've learned it could be months before they're finalized. Even then, cell phone carriers would be given 2 to 5 years to comply. They've told the FCC that's still not enough time. The problem? They say the technology isn't there to meet the stricter standards. Other stakeholders argue it is. But either way, it will take time to implement.
911.
Will there be a point where all cell phone calls, we can know where they're coming from? I mean, when might we get there?
I don't know if it'll ever be all, because there will always be technology gaps, but I think that in the not too distant future, that's what the American public's going to demand.
As for the Eilerman family, they pray no one else will have to go through what they did.
What do you think to know that maybe that could happen again?
It could, and with like I said, with the 911 system, you'd sure hope that we'd be able to locate anybody.
So what if you don't have a landline and all you have is a cell phone able to call 911? We asked Captain Matt Haynes with the Montgomery County Regional Dispatch Center about what he would suggest.
If you are going to count on your mobile phone for 911, you probably need to upgrade and make sure that you have a GPS-enabled phone.
And we will continue to stay on top of the efforts to improve the location accuracy of mobile 911 calls.